A pleasant morning, everyone. My name is MARNEY EzekieL Belmes, and for today's lesson, we are going to tackle Module 2, which is about first language acquisition. So let's now dive in to our lesson. In this module, the first question that we are going to answer is what is first language acquisition and why is it important for teachers to understand it? An educator plays a vital role in our society as they create people that could secure and ameliorate the world we're living in. Moreover, when I become a teacher, I will establish a standard for myself that when the time comes that I become an educator, I should have a better and deeper understanding of first language acquisition. For the reason that I consider L1 acquisition as the first step of an individual in acquiring requisite knowledge from their teachers. Furthermore, having a vivid understanding of first language acquisition, it will secure me as a future educator in planning an efficient learning environment for each student, which fosters effective communication and a classroom that recognizes the diverse set of students who have different needs and ways of learning depending on their first language or L1. Second question that we are going to answer is how does your personal experience of learning a first language relate to the concepts discussed in the module? So back when I was a child, I remember myself learning a lot of words from my mom, dad, grandparents, aunts and uncles, and my cousins who are also my peers. Moreover, I can relate this to the key concepts on language acquisition that are discussed in our module. And this set of concepts is the output and input, in which the input is when I learn language from my environment. On the other hand, the output is when I started using the language I learned from them in communicating. Furthermore, my family played a vital role in influencing me in myriad of ways, which involved the use of my first language or L1, starting from how I started communicating efficiently with them, which is the output, and this is due to the input, which was the result of listening to them talk inside of our house. I also managed to communicate effectively using my first language, which is Filipino, to our neighbors and friends. I developed learning my first language when I entered kindergarten and first grade, in which we have a subject that uses Filipino language that aims to engage us and ensure that we are receiving the proper knowledge that requires the use of L1. Over time, I become more fluent in speaking and using my first language in communicating, reading, and writing, which helped me to gain awards and friends back when I was a child. The third question that we are going to answer is which theory of first language acquisition, behaviorist, nativist, social interactionist, and cognitive do I find most convincing and why? So among the four theories of first language acquisition, I find the social interactionist theory much more convincing, as it implies that an individual learns language through a series of interactions in their surroundings, such as their parents, neighbors, peers, and so on. Moreover, this theory explains that a well-being can learn language when they are constantly engaging or interacting with the people around them, which are associated with communicating or interaction. From this explanation, I am convinced that social interactionist theory is the process that helped me to acquire my first language, for the reason that back when I was a child, I was a loquacious kid because I was always curious about the things around me. And by that being said, I learned a myriad of things from my parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and a lot more people through interaction and communication. I gained knowledge from them, which helped me to ameliorate my first language. The fourth question that we are going to answer is what role do parents and caregivers play in a child's language development, based on my own observations or experiences. So, in my own standpoint, both parents and caregivers play a vital role in a child's language development, as they are the people who are always with the child, which makes them liable for how the child will act and speak. I came from a family where everyone likes to talk to each other, even if it is a silly thing or a serious matter. They just love to communicate with each other, which results in making me a loquacious child back then, to the point where they are the ones who are going to ask me to stop talking for a while, since it seems to them that I am not running out of topics to talk with them. On the other hand, based on what I see on how caregivers play their role in a child's language development, they make sure to adjust their tone and choice of words so a child can cope or adapt easily, and by doing that, the child is learning language much more efficiently. The fifth question that we are going to answer is, how do cultural and social factors influence first language acquisition? So, there are a myriad of factors that affect or influence first language acquisitions, such as the cultural and social aspects, which are composed of traditions, beliefs, norms, ideas, and interaction within a wide vicinity. From my own experience, cultural aspects influence my L1 acquisition by adopting or coping to the set of values or terminologies that are frequently used by my family since they are very conservative, which made their actions highly influenced by our culture, such as the chores, activities, and ideologies that are passed through our generation. On the other hand, social factors influence my first language acquisition by providing informations or knowledge through interaction or communication with the people in our neighborhood. The sixth question that we're going to answer is, how will understanding first language acquisition will help me in my future career as a teacher? So as mentioned in our previous question that I answered, when I become an educator, I will establish a healthy learning environment for my future students, which is a classroom that fosters collaboration and engaging activities, and a classroom that acknowledges and respects everyone. Understanding first language acquisition will play a vital role in my future teaching career, for the reason that I have to make sure that I will provide or create a learning environment where everyone is recognized and secured to ameliorate their first language. And in order to achieve this, I have to establish a diverse and enhanced way of teaching to a different set of students who have different ways of learning and coping with their environment using their first language or L1. We are now in the last question in this module. So the last question is, what strategies can teachers use to support language development in students, especially those learning multiple languages? So as a future educator, I am obligated or required to create and foster language amelioration in my students, especially those who are learning multiple languages. A strategy that I think will work is when I create an assessment that will determine their capacity and needs in learning and enhancing their knowledge towards their language. After conducting the assessment, I should now plan to create a diverse set of teaching techniques based on their own needs. I might use tests, games, and activities that aim to support their language development. While on those students who are learning multiple languages, I could create the same techniques, but it is more aligned to their needs. An example of this is when my student wants to learn Korean, I can provide images, signage, and the Korean language dictionary in creating activities that aim to secure their learning process towards their language amelioration and learning multiple languages.